Hey guys, we're going to be starting soon. Good to see you all popping in here, joining us. We're going to be starting in 52 seconds. Let me know if you can hear me. Awesome, you guys can hear me. All right, we've got 17 seconds to go. Count it down with me from 10. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off. And hello, everybody. Good to see you. Welcome to Live from Lockdown, episode number 37. And today's going to be a real special one. We're going to do a ton of Photoshop tips. I've got a whole pile of them ready to go, and we'll see how many we can knock out. Also, we'll see how many of them you know. So it'd be kind of fun. Why don't you guys take a tally and add up the ones that you know and the ones you don't know, and we'll see who's the biggest notable out of all of us. So anyway, guys, hey, welcome. This is going to be our last Live from Lockdown for the year 2020. The reason for that is next Thursday is Christmas, and the Thursday after that is New Year's. So we will be kicking off with part 2 of season 2. I guess that's what they do these days. You could call it season 3 or whatever you want. But part 2 or season 2B will begin on January the 7th, 2021. So we're going to put this nasty year behind us, and we're going to have a fresh new year. And that's what we're going to be doing. So anyway, guys, good to see you there. A lot of regulars. I'm glad you could all join us there. Feel free to shout out there in the chats. And if you're watching the replay, you might not see those chats. But just drop a comment underneath and be part of the community, even if you can't make it live, because I know the time zone is not always perfect for everybody. But we're going to kick off. I'm just not going to keep chatting, and we're just going to kick off right now. Let me pop it in here. All right, great. So what we'll do is we'll do questions and answers at the end. So save your questions and answers. Of course, if you have really relevant questions during the time, pop those in there. Be happy to do my best to answer them. And same thing in the comments. If you're watching afterwards, I'll do my best to answer those. I try to respond to the comments. And we have Bruce in the house here. Say hi, Bruce. Bruce is our moderator, and he's going to be taking care of you. If you need any, just hit the little button above you, and he'll be happy to bring refreshments and a pillow and a sick bag if you need one. So, and we'll also have an afterglow at the end. So after we wrap this up, we'll hang out and I'll say hi to you guys and do all the shout outs, because I see there's a lot of regulars in the house. Tracy, Russ, everybody. So let's just kick off right now. We've got a ton of Photoshop tips for you. And let me just look on here and see what the first one is. All right, let's get started. All right, so as a lot of you guys know, we can make color adjustments inside of curves. So let's open up our curves right now. There's a couple of different ways to go there. You could hit the Command M for mountains, and that'll get us into curves. But the preferred method, of course, is to go to our adjustment layers. So under the layers panel, at the very bottom, you're going to see this little yin-yang thing. And if we open it up, here's our adjustment layers, and we're going to choose curves. Now, a lot of you know that you can, adjust these curves here to add contrast or adjust the tones. Some of you know we can go into the individual color channels here, and we could adjust the reds, or, we could go into the blues. We can do things like this. And this is how you get this really high-end looking color in just a couple of moves. Now what we're going to do is we're going to reset this. And we're just going to hit the little reset button there. What a lot of you may not know is that we can add the points, specific points to the color. So if we grab this little finger, and if you're in the regular curve, you would just actually just move over your image, and you'll see this eyedropper. Now, if I click with this eyedropper, it's just going to add a point to the curve, and that lets us know where we can adjust the tones. But say we want to target something like this red. if I hold the Control Shift, and that would be Command Shift on Mac, and click, it adds points to that curve. Now, you're not seeing those points, are you? So here's the thing. If we go in here and we go under the color channels, those points have been added to those specific color channels. See the points there? So that's how much red, green, and blue is in that particular image. And that means now if I go into the reds and I make the adjustment, now obviously it's going to affect all the image, but we're targeting the reds and we're making the adjustment that way. So this is a great way, to get rid of color casts, different things like that. And notice now I'm just making those color adjustments. Sure, it's affecting the entire image, but those are based on this area. Now, if I wanted to just target that area, I could lock down that curve. And let me just put that one back. It's not necessarily the ideal way to change color. I would use this more for color grade. Just to change color, we've got other ways of doing that. But if you click and add a couple more points in here, then you could target that area more specific. And when I say that area, I mean anything within that color range. But generally speaking, it's it's a really useful little tip there. Now, I did mention something there about changing the color. Why don't I just show you that quickly? Let me delete this. So that was tip number 1. Tip number 2 is changing the specific color on something. And it's a little bit harder because we've got a color cast on this image. I could open another image, but let's see if it works on here. So what I want to do now is I'm just going to choose hue saturation. And we'll see. So if we go in here and we grab the little finger again, I think it's called a selector or something, and then we click on the reds, notice we get the little selection here now. It's clamping down the range in the reds. And that means if I change the hue, notice I can affect those reds without really affecting the rest of the image. So now obviously when I move this, these areas are going to move because there's red in them. But let's change that to green. And you can actually go in here and get in there and modify these by moving these little sliders in here. There we go. So if you look at that, what we're doing is we're getting rid of those other colors. So now it's just starting to target those real reds. And as I'm making that adjustment, we're targeting that and we can change the color. So that saves doing a lot of selections and other stuff like that. Now, of course, if there was an area here that was the same color as this, and it's being selected, rather than trying to fiddle around in here, you can just grab the mask. I guess this is another tip. We hit P for the brush, and then notice that mask's white, so we want to do something other than white. So let's change it to black, which is the opposite, and then we just paint over here, and now we're just masking out that. So we can have red in the image at the same time, and now we're just changing the red on this one particular, what do you call those things on a Ferris wheel? Those little carts, cabins, whatever you call them. All right. So far, any of these new for you guys, let me know. How would the sky replacement work on this one? That's a great question, Rick. I'm going to imagine probably not too well, but it might. Let's try it. So let's choose the file, and we're going to go down to the image sky replacement. You never know. Might surprise us. And we're waiting. Pretty good. Look at that. Wow. Okay. The sky replacement never ceases to amaze me. So yeah, works pretty good. All right. And let me just check here. I feel my watch buzzing, which means that Bruce is probably trying to tell me something. No, he just told me that same question. So he's, by the way, when you guys ask the questions, Bruce is sending those to me as well to make sure I don't miss those. Hey, Linda, glad you could join us from Texas. All right, so how many of you like to use the pen tool? Let me open up a different image because everyone's bored with this one by now. I know how people are. So let me just grab another image, something like... Actually, it really doesn't matter what image we use for this. Let's just grab, I don't know, this one. Okay, well, maybe not. I don't have a problem with it, but some people might. So let's go here. We're going to grab this one. And what we're going to do here is we're going to grab the pen tool. Just grab the P for pen. Now, this is just a simple... I don't know how many of you guys like to use the pen tool, but when you're drawing with the pen tool, you're kind of going around. Now what happens, actually, let me do something more specific. So say we're drawing here, and this is not a tutorial. I have a tutorial on how to use the pen tool, by the way, so if you guys are looking for that, I do have a tutorial. So you're going here, and you're just kind of following this with the pen tool, for those of you who know how to use the pen tool. And then you grab one up here, and you're like, oh boy, this is not where I want it to be. So the tip is, if you hold down the space bar, while you're drawing, you can move that point. And, we could take it to, maybe it's not going to work there. Oh yeah, it's going to work there. Great. And now we can continue drawing with that pen tool. And by the way, to close a path, just look for that little circle, and then you just tap there, and that will close out the path when you're working with the pen tool. All right. So let's move on. Let's do... Okay, here's a good one. So, sometimes you're working with layers and backgrounds. So layers and backgrounds have different properties, right? So there's certain types of filters and adjustments. Let me just go back here, just to give you an example. So if I go to my properties panel here, and you look at quick actions, some of these quick actions and things are available. There's certain things we can do to a background that we can't do to a regular layer. Now, there's certain things that we can do to a layer that we can't do to a background. So that's why we'll convert a layer to a background to a layer. And the quick way to do that is just click that little padlock, and that will turn it into a regular layer. But notice some of these properties are no longer there. So we lose some of the ability to do other things. So sometimes you want to take a layer and you want to turn this into a background. So how do we do that? How do we turn a layer into a background? Well, what we do is we just go up under the layer menu and then choose new background from layer. And notice now it puts that lock in there, it turns it back into a background, and now we can use that as a background. Let's have a look, see what else we can do. Okay, here's one. Actually, let me give you two. I'm just going to do this one really fast. A lot of you guys already know about this one. Some of you may not. Presentation mode. When you're working in Photoshop, I can't change the position of this canvas. I can zoom in and I can move it around when I zoom in, but notice I can't move it there. If I hit the F key, this will bring me into a second mode, which is the first mode in presentation mode. But if I hit the space bar and I move my hand, now I can change the position of where that image is on my canvas. Now, I do a lot of tutorials, and the reason I would do this is I've got a white canvas around here, and now I can work in here and take screenshots that have a nice white background. How did I get the white background? Right click, and you'll see I'm using custom for the background. I can choose to select a custom color. If I really dislike somebody, I could give them a bright yellow background. That's really good first thing in the morning after New Year's. Of course, if I right click, I can go back to default, and that's how it might look when you get it. Let me change that custom color to white. And you can see how you can just go between these different colors, which is nice. Now, another thing about this that a lot of people might not be aware of, let me do something here. I'm going to fill this with a color. So I'm just going to go here and let's do a gradient. Why don't we do let's do a red. Just a bright red to a yellow. Just for fun. Yellowish. A little bit of green in there. So I'm just going to apply that gradient. All right, so we're looking at these particular colors, right? And see how those colors look. It's very easy to see, because we're working against a neutral background. However, if I change this, watch what it does. Let me change it to a different one. Let's try a blue maybe. Let's change it to another color. Like just do a red. See how it influences how these colors look to you? See how green this looks now? Whereas before, watch this, if I change this to a yellow, notice it doesn't look green anymore. It looks very yellow, but now it looks green up here. Look at this. It looks like there's a gradient on the background going from green to yellow. Do you guys see that? So this is really interesting in clients. It's really hard to explain this to clients. The color you're looking against influences the color you're working on. So it's not just the color you're working on, it's how that color reacts to the colors around it. And that's why we like to work with a just a solid color. And even here it looks darker up in the top left than it does the right. So you want to work with those neutral colors on your wallpaper or your background because it does influence how you see the colors. So I just thought I would add that. Okay, continuing with the other tip. That was a tip within a tip within a tip. That was a inception tip. Okay, so we're going to hit the F key once again. And now this takes us into full screen mode. And if I tap once again, it takes us back to regular. Let me hide that, because why would you want full screen? Because you want presentation. So tap F twice. Control Command 0 will fill the screen. And now you can present your images while you're still live in Photoshop. Now, some of the time, you might be working in here, you might be painting, you might be brushing, you might be selecting. You just want everything out of the way except for the area you're working on. Maybe you're dodging and burning. You can also do this in the full screen mode, no problem at all. So you have a fully functional Photoshop. And the toggle, FF. All right, so let's go to the second mode. The reason I want to go here is because it's interesting. Because say I want to, say I'm painting on this image. And I want to just look at the image. I want the tools out of the way. Tab key. The tab key will hide all your tools. And now you've just got your document. And you can still move around. Because we're in that second one. You can position it. You can zoom. You can paint. You can do whatever you want. And then the F key, of course, goes back to full screen. And that's how you do it. Now, another one. Shift tab. Shift tab will just hide the toolbar. Or the tool panels, but notice the toolbar will remain. And by the way, if you click this little arrow on the top, you can go to single or double column. So say where you're sitting here and you want access to your tools, Shift tab, everything goes away. Now you just have your toolbar floating. And of course the tab key will bring everything back or hide everything. And then hit the F key once again. Okay, so there's a ton of tips within a tip. Let's go back to there. And to show the rulers, Control R, Command R on Mac. Why do you want to show the rulers? Well, two reasons. One, obviously, sometimes you need to measure things. But the other reason is, what if you want to change the unit of measurements? Like you want to go from pixels to inches to centimeters. The easy way to do that is to right-click on the rulers there. Now we're in inches. Now we're in pixels. Now we're in metric. Well, we are almost. There we go. Now we're in the rest of the world except for the United States. Does any other country use inches? I'm curious. Let me know in the comment if you are using inches and you are not in the United States, because I know the US uses inches. All right, so that's a couple more tips there. So I'm just getting you guys have these hard and fast because I'm curious. I would very, very curious how many of you guys are learning new tips. How many of these are new to you guys, and how many of these are not? Someone just called me a rock and roller. Oh, actually, no one called me a rock and roller. I misread something, but someone is a rock and roller. Ray L with too many gins and tonics. All right. Why did I see that as too many girls and tonics? I mean, there are a lot in here. That's because of the tutorials I was doing. All right, so let's move on. Let's find another tip here. And let's see what else is good. And by the way, if you guys are getting some old guys like me in the UK use inches. All right. All new. Hello from Ontario, mostly new. Yeah, I remember, I'm going to age myself now. I remember when I was in New Zealand, when we switched from miles to kilometers per hour. So I knew everything in miles, and then all of a sudden everything I was changed to kph or kilometers. And they gave us these little stickers. So we had these little stickers that we put on our dashboard and stick over the numbers so we would know what we were doing. So how many of you guys remember that? They tried it in the US, and then I guess too many people were speeding, so they put it back to miles per hour. So fortunately I know both, but I'm actually more used to miles at the moment. All right, let's see what else we've got here. I'm going to do this as a tip because I just get this every single time. Okay, so let me just reset my workspace, by the way. So if you just go up under here, reset, that's my workspace, Control-I, let's get rid of those. And we're back in here. And I'm just going to open another image just so we can look at something different. I don't know, let's look at the street. There we go, beautiful picture of a street. Sweet. All right, so one I get every single week, and I'm not sure if it will work if I go in here. Let me try some of my older workspaces. I might have fixed them. Yes, I have a TikTok workspace. Don't laugh. Yep, that worked. So I went to this workspace here, Photo Editing Minimum, and notice my object selection tool's missing. And so I get this from people every time people upgrade. They go, where is my object selection tool? It's gone. Someone stole it. This elf, the object selection tool elf, not only stole my socks, they also stole my object selection tool. So don't put your object selection tool through the wash. That's my advice. Okay. My humor is really bad. Sorry, guys. So what we're going to do is, how do we get it back? Well, let's go to our double column view. And what you need to do is you need to reset your workspace. Oh, interesting that the workspace thing is missing in here too. Okay, that one is going to be a real problem. So under our tools there, okay, let me show you. That's interesting. I just discovered a bug. Because normally in here you're going to see 3 little dots, and they're not there. So let me just go back to one of these other presets. There we go. And there's those 3 dots. So in order to get it back, you click on these 3 dots and choose Edit Toolbar. The customized toolbar is going to pop up, and then you just simply choose to Restore Defaults. And then click Done. And I just want to see Edit Toolbar. There must be another way I can get into the Edit Toolbar. We'll find that. But this will put the Object Selection tool back in there. So let me go to the one that didn't have that edit, because those little 3 dots should be there. Should be 3 dots at the bottom, but they're not. Let's see if there's an Edit Toolbar option under here. Yes. So this is your savior. If you don't see these 3 dots, click Edit Toolbar. Watch here, the 3 dots are missing as well as the object selection. Restore defaults, done. Object selection, quick selection, everything's there now. And our 3 dots. That means that this workspace I must have created this 4 or 5 versions of Photoshop ago. So the one thing you want to do though to make sure this never happens again, notice I called this Photo Editing Minimum. So what we want to do now is we want to create a new workspace called Photo Editing Minimum. And do I want to include keyboard shortcut menus and everything? Yes. Do I already have it? Yes, I do. Do you want to replace it? Yes, I do. And this is important, this step, because otherwise when we go into, using something else, and then we go back to our Photo Editing Minimum, and then we choose to reset, you're going to lose these tools again, because it's going to reset basically to a toolbar or a workspace that you had before those tools existed. So those tools are not going to be loaded because they didn't exist before. But by updating it, which I have now, those are always going to be there. So when you switch those workspaces or you upgrade Photoshop, those tools are not going to disappear. If you don't update this every single time you update Photoshop, those tools are going to disappear, and you're going to have to go through this again and again and again. All right. All right, let's have a look. Pixel layers. All right, let's do another one. So say I'm working in here and I want to create something cool, like some interesting shape, and I want to do an overlay kind of thing. All right, so why don't I go down and I'm going to grab my custom shape tool, and I'm just going to grab the rectangle tool and hit the D key to reset foreground background colors, and I just want to create one with a white fill. All right, so we're just going to create a shape here, and maybe we're going to put a caption or something in here. Now, Photoshop 2021, you want round corners, you just simply go in there and you can just drag out the round corners. So you don't have to guess, you know, the radius of your corners anymore. You can just go in there and change them. That's awesome. And let's do something that looks kind of interesting. I want to create a drop shadow on here. So we're going to go under the effects and we're going to create a drop shadow. Okay, here's the drop shadow. Nice. In fact, let me double click on there, and here's another tip. You can drag on your canvas to change the position. You don't have to drag the distance and angle. Let me turn the opacity up. I'm going to make this quite high just so we can kind of see this a little bit better. And in fact, I'm going to set the distance to 0, and we're just going to put a nice shadow around here. Now, if you go up under your blending options here, we've got styles, blending options. Did you ever wonder the difference between opacity, which you see up here, and fill? Opacity changes the opacity of everything. Notice that both the shadow and our object are reducing in opacity. Fill opacity, on the other hand, will just reduce the amount of the white of the object, and notice that the shadow there doesn't change. All right. Now, notice here that if I go down here, notice that the shadow disappears inside. And that's one of these settings in here. Probably be the last one. There we go. So that vector layer is going to hide that mask. Okay. So if you have a, and you'll see, well, let me just apply this and you'll see exactly what I mean. So let me turn this opacity back up and turn that off. So one of the things I like to do sometimes when I'm doing something like this is to create a layer mask. And then I just want to kind of blend this. So what we're going to do is grab the gradient tool. We're going to be using the foreground to background gradient. That would be the black to white gradient, and just click and drag down to create this nice transition. And then we can just go under the fill opacity and drop that down a little bit. And what that does is it just gives us a nice little area, you know, where we want to add our text. Notice there's little dotted lines around there. We can get rid of those just by selecting our tool. Let's go down to our creation tool. There we go. And just turn our stroke off. So if we click on the stroke, turn it off, those dotted lines will disappear. And this is a nice way to add text on here and just kind of blend it in. Now, if you don't like the mask like that, we can invert it by Control or Command I. And that will give us that nice look. Now, let me show you what I was showing you under here. Sometimes when you're in here, it can look dirty in there. And that is going to be, there we go. Layer mask hides effects. So see how we've got that shadows kind of blending in here and you want it nice and clean? Turn that on, layer mask hides effects. And notice now it's nice and clean in there, and the mask is only, the shadow is only showing on the outside, not in the middle there where it starts to go transparent. And at this point here, I might turn the opacity down a little bit because it's a bit strong. And then you can create a nice clean overlay where you can add text and do different types of things. While we're speaking of that, why don't we do text? So when we're working, let's create a new layer. I'm just going to drag a box around here, and we want some placeholder text. Notice that it automatically does that now. Photoshop adds that placeholder text. How we used to do it, I don't even know if it's available anymore. Under type, we can paste lorem ipsum, which will give us a lot more. Let me show you. Type, paste lorem ipsum, and that gives us more type. Placeholder text, otherwise known as lorem ipsum, because I don't know if anyone's ever tried to read it. It says lorem ipsum, and at first I thought it was German, and I realized it was just made up. All right, so what we want to do is change the font. So let's go from Proxima Nova to a regular. And here's a little tip. If you want to make text look nice and expensive, you want to increase the leading. That's the space between the lines. So rather than having big text with close lines, if you have smaller text with bigger lines, bigger spaces in between, it's going to look better. Control A, by the way, will select everything. And if you click this little tool there, this will give us our type tool. And we want to go under our, which is kind of weird. You'd think you'd go under the paragraph, but for some reason a lot of the paragraph settings are under character. I don't know why Adobe did that. So we're going to go here, we're going to change it to a 40-point type. Notice it's a smaller type, but now watch what happens if we go to a larger lettering. And I'm just dragging on the words there. It looks more expensive. Now, of course, it's harder to read when it's smaller, but this is hard to read anyway. Magni, Dolores, es qui, rationale. It's like Harry Potter doing a spell. So it's hard to read anyway, but as we increase that spacing in between the lines, though, it makes it much easier to read than it was before. And if I change this to black, maybe it might be easier up the top there. And you can kind of see what we're doing. Now, let me just do something here just for fun. Control J, I'm going to copy that. Control T for free transform. Let's flip it around. And put it on the bottom. Why did I do that? Because I'm going to invert that. Let me select that there. Hang on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this with black. So notice I've got it selected, but because it's a shape layer, nothing's happening. Choose the shape layer tool, and now all of these will become active, and you can change these adjustments. So we can change the fill now to a darker fill at the bottom, and see what we're doing. And if I hit the Shift key, now we're creating an interesting, blend there, and you can do the same thing with the type. If I select the type, Control J to copy it, Command I, actually, I'm filling, okay, that's another tip. So I've got the type layer on top of the other type layer. I could just mask this out, and it'd probably be the best way to do it, but I want to put some white text on top. So with the text tool, I don't know if you guys knew this, you don't have to go in and select the color here. You can apply the foreground color to text. If you hold down the Alt, Delete, and that would be Option Backspace on Windows, you can fill text. So you don't even have to highlight that text. You can easily fill it. And now you might just put a mask on there and just kind of make it look a little bit more, So we got the dark text on top with the white background, the white text underneath with the dark background. Makes it a little bit easier to read. But not just that, it also gives me an excuse to show you another tip. All right, so another tip. What number are we up to? Is anyone keeping count right now? Who knows how many tips we've done so far? I'm just banging these out because I know that some people know some of these and some people don't. So, grab a hold of the stuff that's new. And anyone keeping track? You might have to watch the replay. And by the way, if you just joined us, we're doing rapid fire tips in Photoshop. We're just doing tip after tip after tip. And don't worry, you can always watch the replay on this. All you need to do is just wait about 10 minutes after we're finished. YouTube will put the replay. So I hope someone's counting, like 20, 213. I want to know because I want to change my title to outdo everybody else on YouTube who does that. 50 tips in 26 hours. I want to do 1,000 tips in 3 minutes. I'm kidding. Yes, Tracy, of course we're supposed to count. I said at the beginning. I'm kidding. Is that actually really 14, Cynthia? Someone actually probably does know. Cynthia probably knows. Actually, I don't know. I'm not counting. But we're doing tons of tips. And by the way, if any of these are resonating or helping you, please hit that like button. It helps us get discovered in the algorithm, and it helps people know that we're here. So that's a little thumbs up. Everybody hit it. And if you are new here, welcome to Photoshop Cafe. Say hi in the chats there. Introduce yourself. Let everyone know you're a first timer. And also hit the subscribe button. And you'll get notified when we go live, which is every week. Except for the next 2 weeks, we're going to be off for the holidays. But we'll be back on January the 7th. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going, guys. Not counting the sub-tips. Come on, Polka Dot Studio. The sub-tips are the best part sometimes. So Ken gets confused within tips within tips. Well, Inception is supposed to be confusing. All right. Now, how many of you go to add some type here? And and you want to add some type over the top because, I don't know, that's what people do. And you go to add the type and you click, and instead of adding new type, it selects the type underneath. Anyone had that? Show of hands. It's so annoying, right? You're trying to add that text and then you're like, okay, let me get back to the text tool. And if I do it just here, actually I got it. That's pretty good. But sometimes you just, or if you've got layers of text everywhere, you're doing some text thing. Let me do a text thing here really quickly. And by the way, you're not supposed to transform it that way. You're supposed to do it by dragging on here. And by the way, you get a preview if you roll over here. You can see different types of type. No, I did not intend that pun, the types of type. But what I'm just trying to show you guys is, sometimes you're working on something, you've got type everywhere, right? You've got all this type everywhere. And let me change that font to something like that one. I don't know. All right, so you've got all this type, and then you want to add some more, and then it selects the one underneath. You're like, okay, let's go back to the type tool. Let's go here. And it selects that one again. Especially diagonal. It's almost impossible not to select a diagonal. Well, how do you do that? Well, this is how you do it. If you hold down the Shift key, you can force it to create new text no matter where you are. Let's go down here and choose this one. By the way, that's why it's called lorem ipsum. Okay, so that's how you do it. You want to put some more text on there, hold down the Shift key. Boom. You're creating more text. And by the way, if you don't want it to say lorem ipsum, all you need to do is just start typing, and Photoshop will type something else. All right, so we've got all these layers of text. We've got a lot of text, right? So that was the end of that tip, by the way. So new tip. If you want to change multiple layers of type and you want to make them all the same font, how would you do that? Well, let me see. If I select all of these, choose the top one, hold down the Shift key and click, selects all the layers in between. That was a sub tip. Continuing with the tip, grab the type tool, and if we go in the type tool here and then we use something like, oh, look at this, all of them are changing. So I could go in here, I can make them all abolition. And I can make them all 30 point. That makes them disappear. Let's make them 300 point. Make them real big. All right, so notice how we can do that. So you want to change all the type together. Just simply do that. All right, so while we're there, this is a great... How many people knew that, by the way? Let me know. So here's another tip on working with layer styles. So say I select this one here and I go under the effects and I want to create a layer style. Let's do a stroke. So I'm under here and I'm going to apply, I don't know, blue stroke. Let's make it a little thinner. Right there. Okay, so now I've got that. If I want to apply this to all the other layers, before I do that, let's do more. Let's double click and let's do a drop shadow as well. Okay, there we go. So now it looks more like we're doing more than one thing. So you can right click on effects and you can choose to copy the layer style. So that means that everything we're doing right now is now saved in memory, and if I want to apply it to the rest of these, click Shift click to select them. We've got this layer style here saved. Right click and then choose paste layer style, and boom, it drops it onto all of these. And now they all have their layer style. So you don't have to apply them one at a time, which can take forever. You can just apply them all in one hit. You can gang them up like we have here. All right, so if I want to change this, double click on effects. And maybe I'm just like, you know what, I don't like this blue anymore. I want something like red. What if I want red and blue? Did you know that you can click the little plus button here and get more than one stroke? Anything with a plus you can get more than one of. Let me change the color to blue. Make the size bigger. Notice now we've got a double stroke. Now, just one little idiosyncrasy with this that has always bothered me. If there's anyone from Adobe watching, I'd love to know the answer to this. Or anyone that wants to answer this question. I'm curious. So I have a question for you guys. Let me add one more stroke first. I just want to do a white stroke so we can have a triple stroke. All right, boom. All right, now it looks kind of like a sticker. Okay, so I can make more than one stroke because the little plus is there. Why can't I do more than one inner glow? Or more than one outer glow? Sometimes I want to create a double glow. I have a tip around that. But I'm curious, why do I not have those and I have the ability to create more than one color overlay? Because, I mean, I can create a second color overlay, right? And just change the color of the one underneath. It's not doing anything. Maybe I could go into a blend mode and try and get them to work, but really? Why do I need more than one color overlay? I have absolutely no idea. If anybody knows the answer to that, I'm curious, because all it does is create a color. So, you know, I could create multiple colors. And, I mean, you know, I get it. Like, some of these you can move up or down. If I click on stroke, I can move these up or down in the list. But the color overlay, I can't move it up or down. So to me, having more than one serves absolutely no purpose. Anyway, now, if we want to do more than one outer glow, remember I said the outer glow? So let's create an outer glow watching this one here. If we go under the, I don't know, let's grab the blue again. Actually, the blue, the other blue. That blue. All right. So let me increase the opacity. You're not going to see it yet because I need to make it bigger. So let's increase the size here. And the reason for that is because the glow is set to the size of the type, not this whole ensemble. And let me change the size. Now we've got a blue glow. But what if I wanted a white glow above it? So I want blue, but I want white glowing around the edges. There's only one outer glow. So the way to get around that is to do it with the drop shadow. So what we need to do is go under the drop shadow. Let me hide that outer glow. We're going to grab our drop shadow, and with that drop shadow, we're going to grab that blue color. Click OK. And let's set our distance to 0. Increase the spread till we get to the edge, and then the size will soften it. So essentially, if I set the distance to 0 on a drop shadow, it does the same thing as an outer glow. But now I can put the outer glow over the top, change the color to white, and now we've got a double outer glow. All right. So there was a few tips there within tips, working with glows and different things like that. And so we've done that. So what if I want to apply this to all the different layers? I'm going to right click and I'm going to copy layer style. And I'm going to select all of these. And then I'm going to paste the layer style. And what that's going to do is it's going to replace all of these with that layer style. Now, if I'm going to keep tweaking these layer styles, this is not necessarily the best way to work. So let me show you a better way. I'm going to select all of these, right click, and then we're going to clear the layer style. Okay, so the layer style is gone. Okay, it's on that one. That's okay. The other way to do it is just select that, drag it to the trash. We can delete it. Okay, so we've still got that layer style on the top. So here's what I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to select all these layers. Control G, Command G puts them inside a group. Now take that layer style where it says effects, drag it up into the group. And notice that now I can apply that layer style to the group. So you can apply those to groups, and everything within this group is now going to take on this layer style. Watch this. So if I go and I create a rectangle, and I'm going to do it within this group, boom, it's going to take on that layer style. The minute I drag it out of the group, of course, it's not going to have that layer style anymore. Let's make the rounded corner, drag it in. So if you know you're going to be applying the same effect to a ton of things, you know, this is good for thumbnails, different things like that, put them inside that group. Okay, now since we're talking about groups, and this is another tip, we're moving on. Let me show you something here. Let's open a new photo here. Then we go to the library. I love the libraries, by the way. Do you guys like the libraries inside of Photoshop? All right, so we've got the library here, and I want to cut something out really quick. Let's cut out Let's do this one here because everybody loves these action shots. Alright, so I'm just going to select our object selection, and you guys know this. This is almost not even a tip. Is that in layers? Interesting. Okay, looks like I already cut it out. Great. Well, that will work. So I'm just going to take this and I'm just going to drag it in here. That will work nicely. All right. Whoa. Okay, so the reason I've done all of this is I want to show you guys. Let me link that. Now it'll move together. Great. I want to show you another thing. But first of all, let's get rid of these other layers. How do we get rid of all these other layers? You can just choose to, there's several ways of doing it, but we can go under the layer menu and we can choose to, should be a little delete menu there. Under the delete menu, hidden layers. So now all those layers are gone and we just got the layer we're working on. Okay, so what I want to show you guys is how to create a multiple masks on one image and also multiple adjustments. So if we select this and hit Control G for group, got to unlock the background first. So if we go in here, we can create a layer mask. In fact, why don't I just make that one on there? So I'm going to pull this out. Notice that blue line that's not in the group. So now just this is in the group. So I'm going to create a layer mask on the group. And I'm going to apply a gradient to it. So I'm just kind of fading it that way. Now, if I want to create another group or another layer mask, I can simply Control G, put that group within a group, and now I can apply a layer mask to that group. And then we can apply another one. Control G, once again. So if you want to put multiple layer masks onto a layer, all you need to do is keep nesting them into groups, and you can keep applying the masks. How many can we do? I don't know. Let's hit Control G a few times. 10. So you're allowed up to 10 groups within groups. Now, if you really want to mess with somebody, play the game of putting the single pixel inside one of these groups and let them try and figure out which one it is. Oh, that could be mean, especially if you collapse them all. But it's, unless you know this tip. You know, when you go to, collapse them, you can open them. Look at this. You close them all down one at a time. Look at this. And then so the file they're looking for is going to be way down the bottom there. How many of you have worked with designers that don't name their layers or do stuff like that, and it makes it really, really hard to find things or select things? That can be really nasty, right? It can be. And let me see. You can close all the other groups. Okay, let me right click here and open this group. So you're going to let me open all the groups? Nope. That is just a nasty trick to play on someone. All right. Ready for another tip, guys? Finally here. Anxious for the replay. Good to see you, P. Steelman. Guys, do me a favor. If you just joined us, hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. I hope you're enjoying these. And by the way, these replays will be available when we're done. You guys can watch the replay of these afterwards. Oh, I have another cool tip for you guys. Okay, so let's say we're working on a multiple layered file, which we are. Let me just create a bunch of layers and stuff just really quick. Okay, so say you're working in here and you got some type. And let me duplicate some of these layers. We're just going to, right now I'm just going to create just a bunch of layers with type because I want you guys to see how this works. Let's go here. Now this might be something that you guys are doing often or not. So if you ever worked in a document and you've got groups, something like this, okay? So you've got images, you've got type, you've got shapes, you've got all kinds of things throughout all the different layers. And this happens to, a lot of us. It happens to the best of us. You're working and you forgot to name the layers, or you just got messy, you got inspiration, and you just started doing stuff like crazy without really thinking, and then you're like, oh boy, I've got to organize all of this now. And usually what I run into is I want all the type on top, because as I'm compositing and building it, this type starts to go below and it gets confusing. So I'm going to show you a quick way to get all the type on top. You guys ready for this? What we do is we choose the filtering. That's what these do on the layers panel. Hit T, and now it shows just the type layer. So all the other layers are hidden, and now we've just got the type. So if I hit that type, hold down the shift key, now it's selecting all of the type underneath, right? So we've got it all. That's great. So with those selected, let's turn off the T, and it shows all the layers. So now we've selected all the type layers without having to go through and command click or control click each one. And then if we just drag this to the very top, all the type layers are now on top. Control G for a group and text. Done. And then so if you want to show or hide the type, you've got them all there in one group, and they're all together here, which makes them really easy to work on. So that's a real useful time-saving tip for that. Come on, one more like for 100. Are we at 99 likes? We are. Someone hit that like button. We need 100 likes. I don't know why, but we do. Actually, to help us with the algorithm, because that's going to help us, let people know. Let people know Live from Lockdown is happening. All right, what else have we got here? Oh, you know what's kind of fun? What I was telling you guys about the flattened images. Okay, so we've got a background layer here. And, obviously this is the JPEG, because I built this in layers, but no one cares. So if we hit the properties, and we go down under the properties, you've got some options here. Have you guys ever done this? The properties panel has a lot of stuff that Adobe has been sneaking in here, and a lot of people are not aware of. In fact, the next few tips I'm going to show you are some of those sneaky things that, and I say sneaky in a good way, because these are so useful. And let's use this train, because we just changed the scenery. All right, so with the train, what if I want to change the size of this, or set it to a specific size, or something like that? So we're looking at the canvas size here. Right now, we're at 3,700 pixels. What if I want to work at 1920? And I definitely want to constrain the proportions, because I don't want it to get out of shape. But if I just hit enter, proceed, it's changed that canvas size now to that. Let me undo that. That wasn't linked. Let's try it again, linked this time. 1920. So we're only changing the canvas size right now. Watch this. Link it, apply it. And now it crops it down to that size. Now it's not changing the image, but it's giving us that size canvas now. We can enlarge the canvas too. If you want space around the outside, let's do 4,200, and we'll just keep it constrained, hit enter. Now we've got an outline, we've got a frame. And we're still working on a flattened background. So if you just need a little space around there, you want to frame it, whatever, you can do that. Let me undo this. So that's one of the things we can do in here. But we can do other things. We can image size right here. So if you want to make it half as big, you want to do it 50%, just click OK, done. What did I do? Let me slow down. Properties. So we're on the background, the properties panel. These quick actions. Yeah, we can change the size of this image right here without having to do anything else, just by clicking on that quick action button. 50%, that was 26. Now it's going to take it down to that. Click OK. Now we just half the size of it without doing anything. We can do other things. We can trim, which gets rid of, like transparent pixels, things like that. We can crop and rotate. Now, I don't know why trim is there, because this won't work, I believe, on a layer. So if I turn it into a layer, trim's not available. So, it would work if you're on a GIF or a PNG with transparency. That's why that would be there. Okay, we can also crop. If we go in here on the background now, we just brought up the crop tool, and we hit enter, and now we can crop it. Turns it into a new layer. Well, if I use the crop tool, I can do the same thing, right? Yeah, pretty much. But it's available right here. And of course, this way we can turn on rulers, guides, grids. All of these are available right here from within this area. So that's pretty useful. Now, I did mention we were going to do more sneaky things that Adobe had dropped in. And let's do some of these sneaky things here. Let me grab the type tool. And when I resize it, she's asking, Tracy was asking, what kind of resizing does it do? Is compression? Is it lossy? Is that for the resizing? For the resizing, you can choose it here. Whatever compression, well, not compression, but whichever algorithm you want here for resizing. This is interpolation. And I have other tutorials where I talk about these and what the different interpolation does. But the best one, it seems like the AI-powered one, which is Preserve Details 2, is the best one. It's based on Adobe Sensei, which is artificial intelligence, and this does the best of resizing. In fact, you can really hard to tell that you changed it. Okay, so let me show you a couple of things that have changed. So to apply type, as you know, you would type here, and we type in train. Now, if I want to deselect, normally you'll hit the check mark, you'll hit the enter key, whatever, to deselect. But here's something that has been in since Photoshop 2019. A lot of people don't realize. Watch as I move away. Yeah. That allows me to move it. So here I type, here I can move it. See that? You see the little hairs? And I'm not holding down any modifier keys. All I'm doing is just looking at the on-screen controls. Now if I go further, watch these little 4 little arrows disappear, and I just click, it's applied. So that is interesting, right? A lot of people don't know that, and people are still control clicking, command clicking, clicking away on a different tool, whatever, to apply it. When you don't need to do that, you can do it on screen. Now, I've got a type tool here. I know if I click here of type, it's going to select the type. Click away. So if we're on the move tool, we're moving this, right? And now I want to select the type. What do people do? They go to the type tool, but you can just double click with the move tool, and that will select type as well. Now, I'm doing this with type, but we could also be doing this with photographs. Let me say Control J, I'm going to make a copy of this. Control T, Command T for free transform. And let me make a smaller copy of this. Now, I've got another tip I'm going to show you guys, but here's the thing. I just hit that apply, you know, so I can move that around. Now, watch what happened. Control T, notice it's constrained. On previous versions of Photoshop, it was always unconstrained. And to constrain our scaling, we held down the Shift key, right? So now if we hold down the Shift key, it will allow us to resize this unconstrained. And then if I release, it goes back to constrained. What if you prefer the old behavior? Well, here's something that's interesting. This little chain link at the top is on. If I turn this chain link off, that's all I've done. I've still got it selected, but I just turned that off. Wow, look at that. I'm not holding down. Look, no hands. Hold down the Shift key to constrain. So if you want to revert back to the old way of scaling quickly, all you got to do is just go and click on here. And if I hit that, watch, no hands, now it's constrained. So you can change that anytime you want simply by doing that. Now I'm going to put that into the corner. Now let me put that way into the corner here. Now once again, I'm not going to hit the enter key. I'm not going to choose another tool or the check mark. All I need to do is just click away, and that applies it. So that doesn't just apply to text, it applies to photos, it applies to all kinds of different things. So anyway, guys, once again, hit that like button if you're liking what you're seeing, and if you haven't subscribed yet to Photoshop Cafe, hit that subscribe button. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to quickly, we're going to go into our afterglow. Our afterglow is when we hang out and we do chat, and this happens live. You don't necessarily get this afterwards in the replay, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to close out, and so for those of you who just came in for the quick tutorials and you've got to shoot and get by. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed these tips. Count them. I'd love to know in the comments how many tips we did and how many of these tips are new to you. Let me know in the live chat, or if you're watching the replay, let me know in the comments. And the person that gets closest to the amount of tips that we did is going to win a prize. And that prize is going to be a $100 gift certificate from PhotoshopCAFE. So those of you on the live stream, if you want to count them later on, or you have been, drop that into the comments section of the replay, and then I'm going to choose a winner from there, and which means that Bruce and I are going to have to go through and count these. But anyway, drop that in the comments, guys, and also let me know what you'd like to see at the next Live from Lockdown, which is going to be January the 7th. So we're not going to be having it next week because it's Christmas Day, and the week after that is New Year's Eve. So, you know, 2 major holidays. So we will continue next year, January the 7th, 2021. So anyway, guys, if you like this, hit that like button. And if you haven't yet subscribed to PhotoshopCAFE, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and you'll get a new tutorial from me every week. So hang out, guys. We're going to be hanging out and doing shout-outs right now. But until then, for the rest of you, I'll see you at the cafe. All right, and we're back. And I've done all of that stuff, and it's just us now. Yay. So let's do a chat. Let's have a look. Oh, thanks. All these. Thanks, Word Girl. Stuart Braithwaite, good to see you. Everyone have a great festive season and stay safe. Yep. Ken, good to see you. Again, David, good to see you. Nice to see you, Joyce, Cheryl. Pigeon River, are you new? Maybe not. I don't know. David Morton, good to see you. Tracy, of course. Joe, thanks. See you next year. Smitic, good to see you. Jane, looking forward to the replay and all the details. I know this is one you could probably watch the replay a few times. A lot of stuff there. Oh, you've been to a bunch. I'm sorry, Pigeon, but I will remember you from now on. Where are you from? Let us know. Happy holidays. Happy holidays to you guys too. And you're welcome, F. Smitic. More than happy to do this. Always great to watch the tips, says Peter. Rick's thumbs up. Indiana. All right, well, welcome. Are you guys getting that weather? There's some weather. How many of you are being affected by that right now? There's, what a year, 2020, huh? Oh, Splash, saw me on amazing comment on my Kiss Brownlee's video. Well, thanks for dropping by. Yeah, I dropped a comment on Marcus. If you guys are not familiar with him, you definitely want to check out his videos. Incredible tech reviewer. And you know, I'll say yeah, I'm a fan of his. And I dropped a comment there. Yeah, 17,000 likes on my comment. I couldn't believe it. It's on YouTube there. Thank you, Bonnie. Daryl, 15-inch of snow outside. Are you kidding me? That's nuts. Clinton does not have snow because he's in Hawaii on a big island. Great. Good for you. A severe sun, 70 degrees. Well, we don't call 70 degrees severe here, but I guess in Oklahoma this time of the year it would be. Yeah. Just cold here in Texas. Yeah, sorry about that. Delaware, home of our next president, Dana Carr. All right, Delaware. Have you done the latest Adobe update on Mac? Any problems? I did do it, and I haven't noticed any problems yet. Anybody else had any problems? Just let us know. Denmark, Jen. Good to see you. No snow here in Panama. No, I guess not. 61 in Tampa. Oh, Bruce, I hope you got 5 jackets on. Another Floridian. Love following the tips. Oh, thanks. Creative videos. I'm going to miss your birthday. When's your birthday, Andrew? A friend in New York, Fred says, had 42 inches of snow. You kidding me? Jeez. Cheryl, wet in the UK. Well, stay dry. So happy birthday early. I updated and lost Nick and can't reinstall it. My suggestion... Oh, is that the free Nick? If it's the free Nick, I don't know if it still works. If it's the paid one, if you just hit him up. They've got amazing technical support. It's DxO owns them now. And I've actually been meaning to do a review on the latest Nick at some point. How would you guys like to see that? Let me know if that's something you're interested in. Thank you, Colin. Oh, you're welcome, Paul. Isle of Wight. Great spot there. Was that the Day of the Triffids or something? There was an old TV series that was filmed there. I don't know if you're familiar. That was based in Isle of Wight. I don't know if it was actually filmed there, but I remember that one. It was a series. I think, was it the Day of the Triffids? A long time ago. I reply to many of them. Always appreciate your wonderful teaching. Well, thanks, Julie. 57, hitting a sprink. All right, hinting of sprinkles. Your plane is leaving early in the morning. Okay, well, have a nice flight, Hannah, and be safe. Wear a mask. Please stay safe. Basham, thanks a lot, Colin. Can you do a session on sharpening and denoise in the future? Yeah, sure. Can. Have to admit, I loved your tutorials at Adobe Max. Thanks, Daryl. Susan Wilson, thank you for another great Life from Lockdown. Have a great Christmas. I'll see you next year, and we'll see all your smiling faces, or at least I'll imagine them. Jan, very wet here too. Yes, on Nick. Tracy wants to do something on Nick. David, every time I say it's cold here in Monterey Park, my daughter in Oregon laughs at me. Yeah, I bet she does. Oregon can get pretty chilly. All my friends laugh at me. I've got friends in the Northeast right now in Massachusetts. They're laughing at me when I say it's cold. I'm actually wearing long sleeves. You know, it's a t-shirt though. But all right. 6 degrees and rain here in England. Yikes! Enjoy tips, and that's 6 degrees Celsius, of course, which is what is that? 35, 40? Anyone mathematicians? Whatever that is in Fahrenheit. 6 degrees is 6 degrees above freezing in Celsius. 30 degrees is freezing in Fahrenheit, for those of you who are not familiar. Thanks, Gills and Chris. Thomas, DxO review would be good. All right. You're talking about Nick DxO or the DxO? They still make the other plugin? The lens one. Thank you. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Yes, Tracy, 2021. We are looking forward to saying goodbye to 2020. I'll tell you that. Whoa. No snow, but it's 3 degrees there in Norway. Oh, that's cold. 90 degrees Fahrenheit in Perth. Well, yeah, it's always nice. It's summertime in Australia right now. Hope you guys enjoy it. Yep. So, third off, 1 off 60. Oh, okay, got it. 1 off 60. All right. Dumb question. Can I still install Adobe CS3 that I own for online editing? Sure, if your offline editing. Sure, if your computer supports it. So some versions of, it depends on your operating system. If you have an early operating system, sure, it'll still work. Or better free alternative. Well, what's free? I'm sure there's Photos. You're on Apple or Windows. Google Photos probably is a good free alternative. What have we got? 40. And if anyone's got any other ideas, just pop them in there in the chat there. Dave Morton, 4243. Jeff, experienced a COVID-free Christmas here in Adelaide, South Australia. Yes, congratulations on you guys beating coronavirus. And I hope you guys enjoy it there in Australia with that beautiful warm weather. And lucky you guys can meet with family and friends, which not all of us can do. Andrew, 3rd January. 3RD, 3rd January, 3rd January. Is that the Thursday? Is it the 3rd? I thought it was the 7th. Oh, 3rd of January is your birthday. Sorry. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Andrew. So we'll be seeing you 4 days after your birthday. Sorry. Took me a second there. Sometimes when I'm live, my brain works at half a speed. It's the adrenaline. Yes, Nick Collection. Got to run. Okay, Bruce. Hey, thanks for helping out. And I will talk to Bruce before Christmas and New Year. But having looked forward to Light from Lockdown 100. It's coming. It's coming. Andrew White, 0 degrees is freezing point in Celsius. GIMP. There we go. GIMP is another free one. Happy holidays, Andrew. Bonnie. How's the vaccine rolling out where you are? Well, they actually, here in Orange County, they got the first doses yesterday. to healthcare workers. So healthcare workers are going to get them first, and then elderly are going to get them, and then probably, I don't know, March or April or May is when peons like us will be able to get them probably. But at least they're rolling. See ya, Tracy. Where I'm streaming from, Orange County, California. Word girl. And Russ, good to see you, man. I knew you were there. Actually, I said hi earlier. This year's been brilliant. Thanks for the LFL compliment. And everyone, best, yeah. Happy Christmas to everybody, and Happy New Year from Russ, and same to you, Russ, and everybody else. And John, all the best. Happy Christmas, prosperous New Year. See you on the 7th of January. Sure will. See you next year. Hey, Andrew. All right, Andrew's on the 3rd, too. Wow. Chris Bacon. Gotta go. See ya. Ciao. All right, so we've got Andrew. Kevin Smith. You're welcome, Kevin. Okay, offline editing, newest Windows. Yeah, the newest Windows operating system I don't believe works with the CS3, and because everything now is I believe 64-bit, so I think there's 32-bit stuff in CS3, which could be a problem. I'm not sure how that is on Windows, but on Mac, that you're pretty much done. Hi, Fred. Yes, I do faces in Lightroom. Yes, I do. I'm not trying to sell you my course, but in my course, I do cover it. I've got a course in Lightroom. It's 14 hours, and it covers absolutely everything in Lightroom. So, yeah. What you gonna call if your lockdown is lifted? What am I gonna do when my lockdown is lifted? Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna definitely go to the beach and hang out, go visit some friends. Definitely going to do that. So looking forward to that. Thanks, Tom J. Happy holidays, great new year. Keith, good to see you. I'm still confused about what color space to set everything, not printing at home. You're not printing at home. So it live from okay. Then what are you going to call it when you okay, now I know what Tom's saying. Now what are we going to call it? Live from not on lockdown. Okay, sorry, Tom, I got you. What are we going to call live from lockdown, LFL, when we're lockdown's lifted? I don't know. Photoshop Cafe Live, maybe? Got any suggestions? Drop them in there, guys. Let me know. Sorry, as I say, sometimes I'm a little slow. I've been up since the crack of, I don't know, whenever the coffee pot was ready. Photoshop 21, there's bugs. Yeah, there's always bugs, and I'll post videos too on how to work around some of those bugs as they come, and also keep your eyes open for those updates to get around them. Yeah, sorry, no, Tom, you're fine. I was the one that was a little dense. Yeah, so I don't know. Live Photoshop Cafe Live is what I'm thinking right now, but I'm sure we'll think of something better before then. We'll see. But we'll keep going, guys. That's one thing. We're not done. We're gonna keep going. So anyway, I just want to color space. Sorry, back to color space. Sorry, shiny object there, Bonnie. So a lot of the time, depending on your monitor and your settings, a safe bet is to use Adobe RGB. You can use ProPhoto RGB. It gives you more colors, but you may not see all those colors on your monitor. If you're using Adobe RGB and you have something that's close to Adobe RGB compliant, or the Apple monitors on the P3 standard, the Adobe RGB is going to give more colors that you can reproduce on your screen, so what you're going to see is going to be pretty accurate. If you want things to reproduce very accurately but limit the amount of colors, then you can use sRGB. I know some printers want that, but I would work with Adobe RGB, and you should be fine. After lockdown session 1, yeah, we're looking forward to that, guys. We really are. All right. So Julie M is mainly using a herbal supplement of, you guys have to read it because I can't read that query. I'm not even going to embarrass myself trying to say that. But she's telling everyone, all right, guys, and bioflavonoid, is that real? It sounds like a very scared robot. Quercetin and bromulin. I'm not good with medical terms, guys, so well, try it out, guys. Make sure it's safe, of course. If it's safe, try it out. I'm not familiar with any of those. So Adobe RGB on camera and monitor. Yeah, so you want the camera and your monitor to match. It's a good idea. So Adobe RGB would be great. Now, I think Adobe RGB is the biggest space on most cameras. Some cameras might have ProPhoto, but I don't think too many do yet. Thank you. Simple answer. Great. Okay, glad it helped. Yep, Tracy, see ya. See you next year. They sound like aliens from Star Trek. Yes, it does. How about Cafe Clatch? Oh, all right, guys. Cynthia Meadows. All right, everyone. So thanks for joining. I'm gonna go now. I'm gonna have some lunch, and I'm not gonna have paranoid aliens for lunch. So once again, guys, I'll still be dropping weekly tutorials here at Photoshop Cafe. So make sure you drop by for those, and check out my one yesterday where I had 5 tips. And until then, I'll see you at the cafe.